Go.
The first thing to understand about the Indian Child Welfare Act that was passed back in 1978 is it was designed by the United States Congress to improve a system which still relies upon the states to undertake all foster care programs in child protection, including Native Americans. And the assumption of Congress back in 1978 was that if they would pass a federal law that simply ordered the states to stop doing what they had been doing for over 100 years, and that is consciously trying to take Indian children out of their culture and assimilate them. If Congress just ordered them to stop doing that it would work. And it's been perfectly clear now for 35 years that the states kept on doing just exactly what they were doing. And in fact, there was no enforcement mechanism that was effective to enforce ICWA against them. And so what we've come to see now after 35 years is that that's a wrong-headed idea. And what has to happen is not so much permanently trying to improve the enforcement of ICWA, is to replace ICWA with a completely different system. And that is giving direct federal funds from Congress instead of to the state to take care of Indian children, to give them to the tribes, to allow the tribes to take care of their own children, to have family services, foster care, etc. That's the key. Now there's a new statute that was passed in 2008. It's called Fostering Connections to Success. It's called the Baucus Bill. It's Public Law 110351. And that is a statute that says what really needs to get done is to set up a system of having the federal funds go directly to the tribes. So what we're going to do is give the tribes a planning grant, a $300,000 planning grant, pursuant to which they can design their own system for family care, in foster care, in child protection. And that system has begun to start right now. The problem is that it's not adequately funded. That the half of all the money was kept by the Department of Health and Human Services just to administer the program, and the other half of the money is inadequate. And there's not been a single tribe since 2008 that has actually been authorized through that process to have its own family services system. So what we have proposed is that particular protocol be established to give every one of the 9 tribes in the state of South Dakota a $300,000 grant to plan and set up their own foster care program in their own family care, family services program, which will thereafter be funded with the money that would have otherwise gone to the state of South Dakota. So that's what really has to get done. We have to get the state of South Dakota completely out of the business of purporting to take care of children, Indian children, because they don't take care of Indian children. They destroy their lives by trying to assimilate them and tear them away from their entire culture. So that has to be stopped, and it has to be replaced with direct federal funding to the tribes who have been given a planning grant to plan and structure their own system for family care. That's the key for people to understand here.
Question real fast. It's all that's very good, but what do you say to the governor of South Dakota and the state's attorney who has allowed so many crimes against the Native population within such as boundaries of cities as in Rapid City, Sioux Falls, and he gives a carte blanche attitude to if it's a Native crime, it's no big deal. So what do you do with the people, elected officials, that have such a blatant racist attitude?
Well, the Justice Department has to move against them. That there needs to be a complaint filed, and there has been a complaint filed with the Justice Department complaining specifically about the federal civil rights violations that have been engaged in by the state of South Dakota. And it specifically names the Attorney General, it names the head of the Department of Social Services, it names the head of the Child Protection Services. These people have been named in a complaint that has been filed with the Justice Department, and the Justice Department is in the process of investigating that now. And so that there does need to be a set of civil rights prosecutions against these people who have committed these crimes. And secondly, there needs to be in the interim, during the period in which the federal money is being transferred to the tribes to have their own family care services, there needs to be a major lawsuit filed by the Justice Department, a civil lawsuit, mandating that there be a court overhaul of the state system and to enforce ICWA and the standards of ICWA during this 2 or 3 year interim in which the transfer is made to the tribes. So there needs to be 3 different things here. There needs to be a transfer of the money that's normally going to the state now to come to the tribes to handle their own family services and foster care. Number 2, there needs to be a civil case launched against the state of South Dakota to compel them to comply with the Indian Child Welfare Act preferential placement standards, which have been being ignored, and they need to do that for the next 2 or 3 years. And then thirdly, there needs to be a criminal investigation of the anti-civil rights conspiracy and racial prejudice conduct that's been engaged in over the past decade. So there's 3 different things that need to be done.
Well, thank you. You have a very good lunch, and